Keir Starmer's close ally, Emily Thornberry, went on the media to defend the dear leader over his previous role as the head of CPS and as a member of the Sentencing Council. But resurfaced evidence completely destroys both Keir Starmer and Emily Thornberry. Now, over the last few days, we've been talking about these tweets that Starmer and the Labour Party have been posting, libelous tweets, claiming that Rishi Sunak is in favour of criminals, for example. But the point of the tweets are to criticise the existing justice system and the sentencing guidelines, saying they are quite weak. We have to reform them. We already exposed Keir Starmer a couple of days ago on this channel, saying that, well, the people responsible for the sentencing guidelines are not necessarily central government. They are the Sentencing Council itself. But of course, when it comes to prosecutions, it's the Crown Prosecution Service, CPS. And Keir Starmer was the head of CPS and a member of the Sentencing Council at the time. Well, Emily Thornberry went on media, BBC and others, to not only defend Keir Starmer, but she claimed that she has no idea about any of these claims about those days, which is only about 10 years ago. But we have some new evidence. Let's go to Thornberry first.
What the sentencing guidelines suggest is that not all child sex abusers should get an automatic prison sentences. Those are the sentencing guidelines set down by the relevant institution, the Sentencing Council.
Yes.
Sir Keir Starmer was a member of that institution when it set down those guidelines. Did he object at the time?
There is a proactive role that Parliament can take.
Did he object at the time?
I wasn't in the meeting, and I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, I know that he was on sentencing guidance.
Yes, so
because it was set.
Let me explain what I'm talking about.
Up in
so he was on it in 2012 when they came up with precisely the guidelines that you are now objecting to, that allow some sex offenders of children not to go to prison. Those were passed in 2012.
And in what circumstances? And in what circumstances?
But those guidelines were passed by Keir Starmer, and I'm just wondering whether at the time they were passed by a sentencing council of which he was a member, did he object? I mean, it's a reasonable question, isn't it?
I mean, I don't know the details of it, otherwise I would answer it.
Interesting. Okay, let's get this straight. Emily Thornberry says she doesn't know what was happening those days, and she doesn't know what Keir Starmer did. And she also, at the beginning of that answer, she was saying, well, yes, I know that the responsibility is actually down to CPS for prosecutions and the Sentencing Council for sentencing guidelines, not necessarily Parliament. But she was saying, well, MPs can still play an active role. Okay, let's talk about facts, ladies and gentlemen. Emily Thornberry did, in fact, as an MP in 2012, play an active role because she knew what Keir Starmer did as a member of the Sentencing Council and CPS and all the others, because she wrote about it. She wrote to them. She wrote a letter. And she proudly posted it on the 25th of September 2012. Get ready for this. Emily Thornberry, Labour MP for Islington South and Finsbury. Actually, wrote this letter and said that Emily Thornberry has today written to the Director of Public Prosecutions, Keir Starmer QC, and of course also the Attorney General, Dominic Grieve, to demand an urgent rethink of the Crown Prosecution Service's decision to weaken guidelines that specialist barristers must deal with every single day during these prosecutions. So she was criticising Keir Starmer at the time, 2012, because she knew Keir Starmer, as the head of CPS and a member of the Sentencing Council, he was responsible for those decisions because she wrote to him at that time. Interesting enough, that wasn't really mentioned before, was it? Interesting enough, now she can't remember. She didn't know anything. She knew Starmer was a member of the council. Yep, she knew that. But she didn't know anything about the details. She wasn't really involved back in the day. In the words of Jeremy Corbyn, she was present but not involved. But she was pretty involved. She actually did what she said in the interview. She said MPs can play an active role, and she did play an active role because she criticized CPS and the Sentencing Council on weakening the guidelines. People like Keir Starmer weakened the guidelines. Now, criminals are getting away with all this stuff. And now, Starmer, as Labour leader, with the help of the party, are posting these tweets claiming that Rishi Sunak did that. Rishi Sunak, who's been Prime Minister for about 25 minutes, is the reason that we got weakening guidelines. Are you kidding me? It's important to talk about the truth. It's important to expose these lies of our politicians. Because the mainstream media are not going to do it, we will be doing it every single day with your help and your support. Thank you so much for watching. Share this video. I'm Mahyar, Tousi, and we are the media.